And just like that, we're back for the second episode of The Good and the Bad and the Rugby South Africa. We are back. The guys are back. Schalla is joining us in studio and through the power of the internet all the way from the beautiful garden route. Hopefully there's no time for golf. We're left up in the big smoke and the boys on the garden route. Gcobani Bobo, Bobs, let's start with you, my guy. How's the week been? How was the weekend? Give me your 2 cents on the Springboks, your knee-jerk reactions.
No. Where are you and why aren't you here in studio?
Some of us have to work like you do. You know, it's those kind of things. We didn't win World Cup, Schalla, so it's tough life for us. I've been down in Frankfurt. So I was doing the Workers' Olympics, which was exciting. Everyone getting out here, hula hooping. They were doing tug of war. I was the MC, so I had to really spend my voice. But good vibes down in George. Frankfurt has been beautiful as always, and I'm just enjoying it. It feels like as if I'm doing a plug. But anyway, I'll keep on going. Just taking
the life of the rich and the famous.
Must be nice. Be nice.
The life of the rich.
I hope you're not expecting us to take pity on you for being in the beautiful big smoke of George.
I woke up this morning. The wind was blowing from side to side. I thought
tough shit, mate. Tough shit.
And hating life. But I could not wait for this time, so that I can come back and say, you know what, guys, life is tough, but I'm not doing badly.
Bobes, the Boks did world champion things against Australia in Bris Vegas over the weekend. Give me your reactions.
Brisfontein was amazing. Just how green it was and how many Springbok supporters came out there. I thought that was an outstanding sort of. It just shows you what it does. Winning is the best marketing you can ever get, and Springboks are starting to get the people on their side. But besides that, what I liked about it is that the guys are showing and expressing themselves. Springboks playing such unpredictable rugby, sometimes a bit loose, like we all want to see a score that is clinical and all of that. But what I liked is the bravery of the players. I thought Peter Steph Dutour was an outstanding. The way that he sort of shared his leadership, he shared his personality with the guys. You could see even when he was looking for the scrum, he was not thinking about himself. He was thinking about his front row because he wanted to share that dominance to the Australians. I thought we respected Australians in terms of giving them what they deserve. It's difficult to judge this Australian team because I expected more from them. I won't lie. I thought that they would give us much more of the fight. They can do those things, but then it just shows you the class of the Springboks. At the moment, that is world class. If you can scrum people like they did, and at the same time outsmart them with different innovative moves that they were bringing, I just love the fact that the players themselves are starting to ask more questions, and there's more competition in the side.
Schalla, give me your thoughts. The Boks, and I think Bob's put it well to say we gave them what they deserved. We gave them a proper fight. And we didn't stop fighting throughout the 80 minutes. Sure, it got a little bit loose there in the last 20 or so minutes, but that's to be expected. A big win nonetheless.
Well, for me, it was firstly amazing to see the support, like Bob said, is to see such a big sea of green. And I think that is the beauty of actually having South Africans all over the world, really. Then with regards to the game, and the past, we haven't had a great record in Australia. We struggled. We mentioned it last week previously. What was fascinating was the physicality and the prep that went into the game with a touch of class. And for me, it's I just look, the two things that I always look at a team when they play any game is their physicality and their work ethic. And that was, from word go, the Australian pack struggled to match that physicality. They got dominated. All their plans, it's like Tyson said, everyone's got a plan till they got hit in the face, right? That is exactly what the Springboks did. They came from minute one, brought the physicality, brought some changes, even with, I think it was Chesnan giving the ball in, and then you had Reinach in the back line. It was trying to outsmart, and normally we always say as South Africans, other teams outsmart us. Now we've got the depth, we've got the players, we've got the coaching staff to outsmart other players or other teams by that degree. And for me, it was just a beautiful way. And Sasha, what a beauty to go play that type of game, have his first kick and misses, and then from there on just grow into the game. And for me, it was with a lot of, like a father to a son, the pride I had in watching the Springboks was phenomenal. The question is, should be posed actually, how good, because we can talk how good South Africa were. They prepped, they were there, they went hard. The question is, how good is Australia? What will they and might they bring for this weekend? And I think the disappointment that the Australians that I saw after the game, it's not going to be the same test match in Perth than it was this past weekend.
Before we get to the next game, and we will unlock it because Rassie, again, threw a cat amongst the pigeons, 10 changes, positional changes, going with 3 fly halves. It's a whole thing. What I want to chat about is at the same time that we launched GBRSA, our brothers in Australia and New Zealand, about a 16-hour flight that away, said, and this is straight Justin Marshall out of the horse's mouth, and I listened to the episode again coming in this afternoon to make sure that I listened to it correctly. Justin Marshall said Wallabies should be too strong for the Boks in Bris Vegas. And Jeremy Paul, his counterpart on the show, also said the Wallabies will be too strong. Now, is that a matter of they just don't have time for the Springboks, they want to disregard us, or is it just a home ground call? What did they see that we didn't see? How could they have gone into this game and with a clear conscience said Australia will beat the Boks? What is the big thing for me? And Bobes, let's start with you here. Your thoughts. Give me something that we can show Marshy and say, Marshy, this is our reaction to you saying the Wallabies will do us in Brisbane.
It's just at the moment it's abysmal in a way, because we haven't had a time where Australia and New Zealand have started to compete against us. We left Super Rugby, we went to the URC, and after that, what has happened is that we have just delivered more talented players coming through. Teams have got different structures of how they play. You play against massive clubs in Europe, and that tests the players, and the players that we have, where they go and play in other sides, they are top players in those teams. These are double-time World Cup winners. I can't think they could have gone that way, because for me, it's like, if you look at the All Black side that went back-to-back, there is no ways we would have called that All Black side out against the Springboks in South Africa, especially those times, because we knew that they were a much better team than us. Yes, there is a bit of black tinted glasses and golden tinted glass that they both were wearing that day. But it's been a good sort of revealing and sobering fact that performance from the Springboks just shows how far ahead that they are to most of other teams. And they have been missing out on being physical against the South Africans week in, week out. It's all easy to say, you know what, they're going to come with the line speed, they're going to come with physicality, but having to live with it day in and day out so that you can measure yourself. I mean, it's a rude awakening. It was a rude awakening for the Australian pack. At the end, I started feeling sorry for them. It's kind of weird that I'm saying that, because you could just see within their eyes that there was a bit of like a soul being taken. Every single time someone ran, you could see that. There was a massive tackle that Jesse put on Tisano. And you could just see how the dominant center manhandling a flank. And then you start to think to yourself, if you don't see this week in and week out, how are you going to be capable to live with it? So, Marshy, Paul, Jeza, Jeremy, you guys got it so wrong, because the Springboks, they keep on trumping and they're going forward and they just keep on growing at the top.
Schalla.
Well, yeah, I can understand that to you from their perspective. Jeremy Paul is going to be biased towards Australia.
Yeah.
We are biased towards South Africa. Secondly, Marshy probably had a couple of too many events or brandies, and maybe that was why he was backing Australia. But if you go on a couple of things, firstly, we have a terrible record in Australia. Secondly, with Eddie's, whatever happened there with the Australian side, the team getting upset with the coach getting upset with the team, having a terrible World Cup. Then Joe Smith, one of the best technical coaches, taking over. He had an amazing record with Ireland. He took them, although he didn't take them past the quarterfinals, he did have a fantastic run with Ireland over multiple years. So I do understand sometimes if you look at Rassie, for example, we had record losses against Ireland. We had record losses against New Zealand till Rassie took over. And sometimes you must have a look and say, yes, a coaching squad can actually do miracles with the same individuals. We had in 2018, we had maybe 1 or 2 changes, but the coaches was the big changes. And maybe they thought maybe for the first test, they had more time to prep than we did. That it's at home and I thought they expected a big Australian crowd. Secondly, in that specific stadium, it is one of those stadiums that the ball is in play a lot more, not by kicking, but it's a quick pitch. And normally, if you take back to the days when Australia was strong, if you took the Gregans, the Larkhams, the Mortlocks, they played at a pace that we couldn't match.
Yeah.
Now, for once, it is different. We are rounded team. We have played everywhere. We are settled. Where Australia, like I said previously, Australia and Wales is the 2 teams that needs to rebuild going into the Lions and then the next World Cup.
A big thing also is a short hop from Brizzy, Wellington, the Boks. Not so surprising considering where Australia is in their rebuilding phase, and I'll be the first to say it, they will come back stronger. Don't make the mistake of being lulled into saying we'll give them 50 in Perth. That won't happen. Well, if it does, wonderful, but probably not.
The reality is, unfortunately, is look at South Africa. If the national team does well, kids want to play rugby.
Yeah, true.
Rugby is not even in the top, I think, 3 or 4 sports.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure where they fit into popularity.
That's AFL, league, cricket, and then rugby union after that.
Yeah, so if you take all those, and I don't know even if football, soccer is above it, but the point is the talent that should go to rugby, like Olympics, if you take the people that gets, from academy perspective, gets drafted into those type of sports, the athletes are going there. The money is going there. The problem is, unfortunately, within the rugby environment, union game, if you don't pull them from the league, they don't get the best athletes. So you must understand, it's not the fear I've got is actually, where is Australian rugby going? If the national team is not doing well, the competition isn't well supported financially or from a supporter base, what is their next step to make rugby popular again?
Talk to me about the All Black game quickly. I mean, we know that Los Pumas will come at you hard. They've done it with us. They've done it with Australia. Now they've done it in New Zealand. It's a tough one to take the first time they crack you on home soil. It hurts a little bit. But firstly, that is a very decent Argentinian team, and they are going to shock a couple of guys over the next 3 or 4 years. That's my belief. Did New Zealand get a trick wrong? Was Damien McKenzie perhaps out of his depth a little bit? Where did it go wrong for them? Or were they just outgunned by the Argies?
Well, for me, it is, if I look at that Aussie side and I saw that at the end, what it meant to the guys, it is unbelievable.
Yeah.
They went out there and put their body on the line. And unfortunately, you need that physicality and work rate. And the Aussies brought it in buckets.
Yeah.
They put their body on the line. I thought at one stage, normally they would sort of give in, but they kept on going. And I must say, from New Zealand's perspective, they weren't as clinical as I normally see them. There was, and especially, I mean, with new coach, with Razor taking over, I thought there would be a bigger drive. Something would be new. They do have the talent, but they sort of sitting in our position a couple of years ago when the strong and legends have gone abroad. Now they need to rebuild as well. But from a purely neutral perspective, it was a fantastic, phenomenal game to watch. And, well, fair play to the Aussies.
Bobs, is Razor going to see that the All Blacks are not the Crusaders? Test rugby is not Super Rugby. It's an entirely different ball game. Look, we know that he's one of the greatest coaches going around at the moment. Of that, I have no doubt. But is he going to see a bit of a different version of rugby than what he's used to from coaching in Super Rugby?
Yeah, he's definitely, it's a learning curve for everyone, especially his coaching staff and himself at that space and at that level. Let's look at the game. I mean, no scrums until what? I mean, there was how many
60
scrums
minutes
in
or
that
something.
game? So you look into that. How do you get your hands into a contest where you can now make sure that you're making the forward pack of Argentina work them to the ground, make sure that every scrum they have to get up and make more tackles and more tackles, and that has to come with game management. I'm not saying you knock a ball on, but like the difference is the South African side knows exactly what is their strength. That's why when Peter Steph Detroit is asked by the referee, where is the mark? He says, which one where I could scrum. That just shows you the intent and the deliberateness that the Springbok have within their game plan and their belief. When it comes to this, to the All Blacks at the moment, I still think they're still trying to find their identity with Razor. And we all know that you would love to have Richie Mwanga back. They are in the same position, Schala. You're right when you say they're in the same position as South Africa, because some of the most talented players, senior players, they're playing outside of New Zealand, and they can't pick them. And they will have to come to a decision when they say, what is good for the nation? Meaning, yes, we know for the black jersey what they've done, making sure that players stay in the country for the black jersey. But how long will that loyalty last? Because guess what? If you don't get into that black jersey, someone has to pay the bills. So you have to go wherever the opportunity arises for a young player who is talented enough if he gets a lucrative offer somewhere else. And that takes a chance away from that player being part of the selection process or being in the transition to be in that process. So there's a lot that they have to look at in terms of how do you become clinical? Where do you start from? Who is your number 110? Who is the number one fullback? And Anton Leonard-Brown, yes, he is an amazing, good, outstanding player. But how long do you have with him? What are you building from underneath that? And then they too are having this sort of attack on their sport, which is rugby, where if you think about the New Zealander who's growing up there with all the islanders coming into the country, it must be difficult for a 5-year-old who's playing against someone who is as big as their 10-year-old brother, right? So now lots of people are moving away from rugby. Basketball is becoming big. Football is becoming big. American sports is really starting to dominate the psyche of the younger generation of New Zealand. And that has to do with a lot of the psyche of what is really happening. So now they themselves have to look at what is their sort of selection processes that they want to go, how much they want to cast the net as wide as possible so they can have this massive talent pool where now you can squeeze the best and put them out there so that they can showcase what they can do. For me, Argentina is a team that you can never sort of take lightly because you've got players who've got so much pride. Filippo Contempomi, when he was a player, he was a very, very competitive individual. And that personality is going to show within those players that he's coaching because it's pride, it's passion, it's the Latin flavor vibes that they want to bring back to it. They want to make sure that people remember this team. They remember what they are all about. I mean, to have 2 wins, it doesn't help New Zealand to play in Wellington because they haven't won there in the last 5 test matches. And now that is becoming a hoodoo. Can you imagine a New Zealand team who can't win in New Zealand, in Wellington? I know they've always going to have Eden Park, which is next week. There's always a little tonic for them. But this Argentinian side is a team that has been written off by everyone. We saw what they did against France. But this team is a side that has got individuals who are playing at the highest level in other different sort of premium leagues over in Europe and around the world. And those players are starting to bring that back into the influence of the national side. So kudos to the Pumas, the way that they play. And New Zealand and Razor have to find a way to find the right balance of how to play test match rugby.
Well, Bobs, the interesting thing is you're talking about what is their identity. Well, the lineups didn't go well. There wasn't scrums. And I would have thought a team like New Zealand would actually prefer ball in play because normally they are the best counter-attacking side in world rugby. They've got talent. The one thing I just thought within the game, they weren't clinical and they weren't managing territory, weren't managing the space well enough to put Argentina away. There was just too many unforced errors. And I guess one of those things when there's no certainty in exactly your position, who's the number 110, the number 212, or where your pecking order is. Everyone wants to, how can I say, prove the coach that he needs to wear that shirt. And I've got no doubt that their performance will be better in Eden Park. The question is going forward, just are they going to pick the best players that is abroad, or let's say just the best player, and are they rather going to go locally? And that's their policy. They don't want to pick guys abroad. If you think about who was it, Stephen Donald, he was 4th or 5th fly-off at the World Cup, and he came back from a fishing trip where there was a lot of other fly-offs to pick from. I think Evans were playing for Harlequins at that time, and they said, no, I'm going to pick him. That shirt didn't even fit him, but he played. He won a World Cup. But the question is, when results don't go your way, that's a true reflection of what your values and your standards will be, and see how important winning is to the All Blacks and to Razor, because for this international pressure is quite different to club pressure.
And you don't always have the opportunity to just go again next week. I want to move us along to the green and the gold, going very green for the second test. I've had a look at the squad. Let me run through it quickly. Jan-Hendrik Wessels, very young. Johan Grobler, very young. Thomas the Tank, he's an established old head, or at least a little bit more experience in the tight head position. Salman Murat will go out and captain the Bokke for the second time. He's joined the locks by Ruan Nortje, Marco van Staden, Peter Steff. Elrich Lowe retains that 8 jersey. Then in 9, Krappie van der Berg. Morne van der Berg is going to come on and do his thing for the Boks, which is a wonderful achievement for him. Sasha will retain that number 10 jersey. Mapimpi and Cheslin Colby on the wing. In the midfield is Lukanya and Jesse Krill. And Apaleta Fassi in 15. A lot of changes. And that's what both of you said that last week. Don't worry about what Rassie does, because Rassie does what he wants and he does what he thinks is right, and everything is planned out. 10 changes. I'll tell you what, my mind says to me that is a very hungry Springbok team getting ready to go onto the pitch on Saturday. Bunch of youngsters, they want to prove that they can also do a number when they are called upon. Give me your reactions to the box squad that Rassie has put in.
What is interesting is if you look at the rotation of the squad, how do you do it and when do you do it? Because one thing that Rassie does extremely well is he within the team, he grows loyalty.
Yeah.
He probably told the boys, irrelevant of the result, we're going to start you guys next weekend.
Yeah.
And now they've had a great result the first game. They go, perfect. What is the next option? We're going to give the young guys a proper go. Where else, locally, if you go against New Zealand, so we already won abroad, that's one game. Then we go New Zealand twice at home. Then we go, okay, fine, surely we're going to play then the best players. Then we go, okay, Argentina, what has happened in South Africa? Where do you rotate it? I don't think we're going to rotate against New Zealand at home. I think we're going to play our best 15. And not that I'm saying this isn't our best 15. I would refer rather to our most experienced 15.
Yeah.
And then we go, okay, Argentina, first game away. Then we go, okay, fine, we're going to play our best side again. And then the last game is dependent on, I guess, where we are on the league, we'll go, or on the log.
Yeah.
We're going to rotate or not rotate. So from that perspective, I think there's an undercooked Australian side. We've done our work in the first test match. Now's the time to rotate. And the important thing that people must remember, and I guess South Africans will look at it very exciting, but how can we make the changes now? This is not our best squad. We want to play our best squad every weekend. Rassie doesn't think that way. He wants to grow depth over time. And what better way? Sasha had a great first game. Give him another go with a different 9, a different 12, a different pack. Now the question is, can these youngsters, exciting youngsters, now go, let's go? And I guess they're going to say, please give me a go. I can remember in 2018, we sent the first group, the first choice players to New Zealand already. And we took on Australia at home with, so to say, the beat side. And we gave them a clap. And that pushed the position from, okay, the B team is pushing for the first shirt, and then the team vibe and environment was just phenomenal. So imagine what kicker that can be for the team.
Bobes, your thoughts on Rassie's squad for the second test?
I'm loving it. I won't lie. I think this is the right time to do it. Rusty mentioned that he wanted momentum, and momentum is winning. It's much easier to be hard on the players when they're winning because their psyche is positive and they're all up and they are willing to listen. It's difficult when the players are down to really go hard at them. I think this is why you can now have those uncomfortable conversations because everyone is winning. No, I'm going to give someone a chance now because this is where we are going. These are the plans. It's much easier when everything is working out well. I like what he is doing because you want to make sure you can test and challenge all the other players who are in the starting lineups, right? So the fact that you have Lukhanyo Arm coming in at 12, everyone is probably going, but Lukhanyo Arm was the best 13 that we've ever seen. And then Jesse came back and he took the jersey back from him. But what Lukhanyo Arm has is a 12 sort of type of player. If you understand center play, normally a 13 is one that strike runs, which is what Jesse does. And then the one that is playing on the inside is the one that really does create, which is what Lukhanyo does have when he's got hands on the ball and the time that he seems to have when he's got hands on the ball. Brilliant player to have to carry the ball up because it's not about just the brute force. Sometimes you have to use the footwork to get over the game line. And if he starts bringing that and it brings continuity into the play, puts pressure now on having another 12 that can work out. It gives Lukhanyo Arm another chance that he can fit in as a 11, 13, 14, 13. I mean, more options for Rassie Erasmus. And I'm loving the fact that he's got a Pelele Fassi, which is important for me.
He had an amazing game against Wales.
It's to really encourage those players and say, you know what, I see your performance. I see where you're getting it. And I know you can add value into this. How's my signal there, fellas? Can you hear me?
No, you're good, brother. You're good. You're good.
Okay. So in that case, that for me, to create competition in a squad like this is very important. But I would love to see more game time for Manili Bokke this coming Saturday and having him playing with 100 Pollard at 12 and Lukhanyo at 13, maybe somewhere in that second half.
Guys, I want to pivot away from what we're seeing, and I want to draw on your experiences of years and years in the trenches with the Boks and provincially. I want to ask you a question, and it is unfair to ask, but I will ask it nonetheless. I want to, through the next couple of episodes, I want to put together the greatest of all time Springbok squads.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of debates.
So today, all I want
Beautiful.
is our front row. I want us to pick a front row between the three of us. We'll start at loosehead. Make your point, make your argument, pick your players, pick your battles. Who do we want in the greatest of all time loosehead? Who's our guy?
No, there's three to pick from, basically.
Okay.
Kitsi,
Yeah.
I would say Osterrand, and the Beast. I mean, they are just phenomenal players. Ox is a great talent. I would agree with that, but he's not on that same league yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Look, he is. The Ox scrums the living crap out of everyone, and I guess if I was a tight end, I would fear that little short man coming on and doing damage. But between those three guys,
The short little man. Bobs, Ox,
I love it.
Os, or Beast. You got to start one, you got to drop one, you got to bench one. Pick your poison.
This
A loosehead to live and die by.
who's had the most caps? Beast.
I mean, we can go Beast with the most caps, but I like to actually quantify that. Yes, Osterrand has won 2 World Cups, which is massive. I mean, the youngest man to win the World Cup for South Africa. Be the fact that we never played before that. He was only 24 when he won in 95. And then to do it again in 2007, that is just phenomenal. That is an amazing feat to do. But what Beast did, man moving from 8th man to go to play on the loose head, and the way that he made his name against the British Irish Lions, and just I could hear that Beast sound. I think the Beast sort of tips him for me.
Schalla?
I'll go Beast to start.
Beast to start.
You got to pick one, Schalla.
This is so hard. I would actually agree with that.
Are we starting Beast, and we are putting the youngest Springbok World Cup winner the first guy to double up going back in 07. So Beast to start, or Sterant on the bench. Are we happy with that?
The one thing I would say by far, Kits is by far most talented. He runs,
that'll concede.
And remember, if the rooi gevaar, if the red-haired ginger starts going, it's very hard to stop him. But I would say,
Are we saying pick it, Schalla. Pick a loose head for us. We're starting Beast or Kits. Who's on the bench?
Kitsy.
Verbs, you happy with that?
I'm happy with Kitty on the bench, and for me, I'll always have Ors there to be a mentor for those two.
That's the thing. We'll take Ors to
sitting
take
on the bench.
Ors will be in the front row of the stands. Okay, let's move to hookers.
He's a traveling reserve. He's on
the what's the waiting list? Let's go with hookers, Schalla. You've got a special cachet here. Give us the short list again.
For me personally, and
you're allowed to pick yourself.
No, definitely not. So I would say the four guys that I thought had been the standout over generations for me is John Smits.
Yeah.
Probably not he's extremely skilled for a guy that played tighthead and hooker. Well, won a World Cup at tighthead actually under Jake White. But unbelievable captain, unbelievable person. If you take then Malcolm, probably the best rugby player last year, leading up to the World Cup. And for me, a guy that inspired me to play the way I played was Uli Schmidt.
Yeah.
Now, that's not taking anything away from Bismarck. So he was just a physical being. And the same with Bongies. He brings what he brings. I don't want to tackle him because he's a knee breaker. But for me, the two combination of John... Are we talking about captaincy later, or is it purely...
Captaincy we'll pick at the end.
No, you don't pick a player because he's not a captain. We pick a player on the talent that he brings on the position.
Okay, so that's a different role then. If that is particularly the thing, and John is going to kill me...
And remember, we're picking the greatest Springbok hooker of all time. John can come and air his grievances on the show if I need the greatest Springbok hooker of all time.
Okay, John, as a friend, I'm apologizing. Malcolm's my friend as well. But I would say from just pure talent, there's no one for me. I'll pick Malcolm Marx every day.
Bubs, talk to me about the greatest hooker of all time to wear the green and gold.
Malcolm Marx has had the most impact on the field every time he has come on for the Springboks. And every game that he plays is always something that he lifts, and he just changes the way that you look at hookers, right? And that's what Malcolm Marx has. In a way, he has taken the game to a different level when it comes to the bomb squad, what you do with your hookers. You can start with him. You can bring him off the bench. So I'll go Malcolm Marx to be my number 2 starting hooker.
And we'll pop Barney on the bench for good measure.
If we're going purely on the game itself, Uli Schmidt.
If we're gonna go power and keep the same and have a bomb squad, how about Malcolm Marx being replaced by Bismarck 2.0? Bismarck on the bench, because you get the similar thing: turnover ball, power scrummager. You know exactly what kind of force he puts on those scrum, Schalla. You've set underneath those shoulders most of the time. You understand exactly what's going to come up and how competitive he was as a player. Because if you can't have Bismarck in the team, then you can't have him around the team, because otherwise you know what's going to happen.
Schalla, piss off your friends even more. Are we going Marx and Bismarck on the bench?
On pure talent, yes.
Okay. Well, the phones are going to ring off.
But not importance.
No. I don't want any. No. We're not discussing importance and captaincy.
I'm sitting on the fence here.
No. It has to be unanimous.
Love it.
Talk to me, Bubs. It's
my titan.
Yeah, talk to me about titans. What have we got?
My titan, Frans Malherbe, by far. There is no question Frans Malherbe is titan and his prowess and what he has shown. His skill set, this is what people don't really see. The way that
his work
man
ethic
can pick up a ball, and his work ethic, the way that he gets up, picks up balls off the floor, he cleans, he does his job. And I love the fact that to him, it's not about the ers and the furs, right? He's just like, I'm going to get the Springbok squad moving forward. I'm going to earn penalties. I don't care if someone mentions me, doesn't mention me. That, to me, he has shown what it is to be. I mean, sometimes people do question all his conditioning, but no one has ever questioned his abilities and what he does when he gets onto the field.
No, he is pure. A Tartet needs to be old school. Francie is old school. He likes a brandy or Coke. He likes to entertain himself. He loves going to his farm, hunting. That is proper South African. He is the maybe in a different shape, but he's the camel man, the man you want your daughter to marry. He's just a great human being and great for the team.
And Francie is such a cowboy in the sense that he's actually, there's nothing about him that you look at it and say, high performance athlete. And I even saw like the cameraman in Brizzy, the cameraman in Brizzy did him dirty because he showed a shot at the back and he looks like he's thinning as well, which for me, when picking a tight head, I don't want a full head of hair. I want someone that's thinning a little bit. He's on the farm, he hunts. You know that he is an absolute workhorse in the tight head jersey. Okay, so let's ring it up. Let's take the bill here. We're going loose head prop. Who
Beast.
did we decide? Beast. Hooker, Malcolm. Tight head, Francie.
Correct.
Then we've got on the bench, you said the spicy plum,
Yeah.
with Austin in the
Yep.
front row in the stands. As a hooker, we've gone to the archives and we're bringing back Bismarck du Plessis.
2.0.
2.0. Who are we putting as a tight head reserve for us on the pitch?
I don't know.
Ooh,
For me,
No,
Yeah,
go
you go.
for it, Schala. No, you go for it. You know more in the front.
for me, it's from a bench perspective. Miss Incredible has done an unbelievable job to the bomb squad. The way we're going to bring it up, and if we're going to play Kitsy, and then Bismarck, and then Mr. Incredible. I mean, he's probably one, like Francie, is one of the unsung heroes of the bomb squad, the unsung heroes of the Springboks. That just on this weekend's game, I know cap-wise there is probably a lot of guys that have more caps than Vinny, but Vinny is just a phenomenal tight head that has put his body on the line, doesn't want the credit. He's just a great rugby player. Well, disclaimer, I played with him at Saracens. A guy that I would like to mention is Maurice Herter.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys that didn't always get the credit, but I guess Titus don't want credit.
No, that's actually what you want from
They
him.
want a beer and a steak and a chips.
That's
Then they're
the
happy.
easy order. You know where to find them. That's the sort of guy you want. We've got Beast, we've got Malcolm Marx, and we've got Francie as our greatest Bok front row of all time. I'm happy with that. Bobes, you happy with that?
I'm good about that. I just love the way you're so happy saying those words. I'm just laughing at
For me, it's I haven't got friendships that's going to burn as a result of this. That goes to Schala.
It is just a great front row club. It is. I mean, by far they don't always look the best, but they are the anchor in the scrum. They are the geest. They are the spirit. They. I mean, I know Bobes is pretty and the backline's pretty, and they all want the shine. Those guys are actually just the heart of the side.
They're the hard yards. They are the guys that you want to be in that position doing the job. Next week, we'll come back, we'll pick our locks, and maybe we'll pick an eighth man just for shits and giggles. Another thing that I wanna air with you guys this week is something that has come up to me a couple of times in my work outside of the pod is and Bobes mentioned it a little bit when discussing where rugby is in Australia as far as competition with other sports, cricket and league and AFL and all of that. In South Africa at the moment, we've obviously got the URC, which is our premium competition. That's where we want to see our Springboks play. But there is an issue with the Currie Cup locally. Both of you cut your teeth in what was then the Vodacom Cup and the Currie Cup, and it was a natural progression. It was a big stepping stone. When you think about the Currie Cup in its current form, what are your thoughts? Schala, how do you see the Currie Cup? Is there still a place for that level of provincial tournament in the South African rugby calendar?
There's space, but the importance has changed. I mean, I do understand the history behind the Currie Cup. I do understand the traditions behind the Currie Cup. But the reality is the rugby world has changed. We don't play east to west anymore. We go north and south from a club perspective. And for me, it's where do you fit it in? I mean, with all fairness, how many Currie Cup games have you watched, Bobes? The maybe you have because you're working in this industry. From my perspective, is go look at the viewer ratings. Back in the day, people will fill the stands for the Currie Cup. That is not the case. So for me, from my perspective, rugby in general should have less games and more high profile games for a couple of reasons. Is firstly viewership. People want to know the players that are playing. Secondly, they want high profile games that they want to fill the stadiums with. You want the best players to play. And unfortunately, you have, I wouldn't say there isn't a place, but use it then as the old Vodacom Cup. Still use it. Give the guys that plays for Griquas, plays for Leopards, opportunity to put their stamp down and say, look, I don't want to play here forever. I want to play in the big league. This is my place to shine and show that what I'm worth.
Bobes, the Currie Cup, and I know me and you have had this conversation multiple times. The Currie Cup in its current form, it's almost like it lacks that kind of entertainment aspect. Where are you on the Currie Cup?
Well, it's funny enough. I had a great thought about this Currie Cup. Actually, has been for me working in it, and I had the similar sort of feel like this is our cup. This is the cup that makes South Africa. So I think that our mindset has to change when it comes to the Currie Cup. It has to change in a way that I think this will be a way that South African rugby gives back to South Africa. Because we can't throw away that there is 14 unions that have been steeped in history and tradition of South Africa. But what I think we have lost about the Currie Cup is that pride of the Currie Cup, where houses get split, where loyalties get split, where you stay and work in Johannesburg, but you support Western Province and you want to wear that jersey. I think South African rugby and the Currie Cup should look at taking the game back to the people. It's the people's game, the Currie Cup. Currie Cup has to become our South African heritage cup. It has to become that cup that says, this is who I am, this is where I'm from, this is who I support. It doesn't matter what happens, but then you have to bring it to the people. I look at it and I think Varsity Cup looks after all those players who have great balance when it comes to academics and sport. But then what do you do to those mostly talented guys who are not that great when it comes to qualifying, getting them their marks right to go into varsity? Where do those players get a chance to start playing or become into the scene in our faces so that we can start to see them coming through as backup for the URCs, challenging for that URC squad, similar to what Currie Cup did during the Super Rugby times, was that this is where you got your dip for Super Rugby. This is where you cut your teeth to make Super Rugby. It's the same thing to cut your teeth so that you can play into the URC. You have to go and front up as a youngster playing for the Sharks because you're the most potential talent. You have to go play against the Griquas in Kimberley so that we can know that you can stand up in Connaught in the cold, breezy, cold day in Connaught with the rain slanted into your eyes. We have to put you into those cauldrons of going to the Pumas in Nelspruit where you have to work your butt off to get the win. I think it's an important part, but it's how we sort of sell it to the audience. It's how we sell it to the South Africans. If we can start going back, I mean, you must see how many fans who have pubs where they've got jerseys of the Free State, Griquas, Griffins, all of that. We must start talking to the audience of rugby when it comes to Currie Cup in South Africa to actually bring back the people back to the stadiums. That even means that to taking it to smaller stadiums if it has to be, if it's just a smaller. But, you know, every time when the Springboks come back, I mean, this last weekend of the Currie Cup was one of the most amazing ones because we saw a few players coming through. Jerenzo Julius is an amazing talent, and he could never get that chance if the Sharks didn't say, you know what, this is an opportunity to give our youngsters an opportunity to see what is the potential that we saw when we signed them so that they can give us more backing up when it comes to the URC. Now that broadens the squad. That's where I think about the Currie Cup.
Gentlemen, I'm going to have to wrap us because If we don't, then Schalla's going to have to sleep in my guest room this evening. You've got a flight to catch. Before we wrap it up, the All Blacks in Eden Park, they'll be too strong, surely.
I honestly think the All Blacks will come back with a vengeance. It's going to be a tight game till 50, 60 minutes. And I think they had a wake-up call. And they're going to be the All Blacks that we know.
Bobes, All Blacks too strong in Eden Park.
Yeah, I think they'll be way too strong. I mean, they have never lost in us. It's just a team that is so dominant when it comes to Eden Park. I think this weekend will be sobering. They will go back and say, you know what, these are the things that we need. There's a few things that you need to make sure to win a test match or in a rugby game. And that's that your set piece has to be strong. You have to be desperate. Your attitude towards everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so what is? I thought that would be the case with actually thinking back to what I just said, maybe contradicting myself, but I thought that would happen with England as well, and it didn't. England had both games that it could have won, and it was could have gone both ways, and then the same with Argentina. I think we should not underestimate the Argentinian flame. I mean, if you see Creevy after the game crying and hugging and guys playing without boots and getting strapped up, we might be in for a surprise. But saying that is just
maybe that's a biggest high. What's going to make Argentina say, you know what, we're going to go again and do it up? That's my question. That's the question that Argentina needs to answer now, is that can you back it up? And it's tougher to back up in a performance because you understand how hard you had to work through it, but you didn't know how far you had to go. Now you know how far you have to go. Can you back it up? And for New Zealand, they're going, okay, circumventing and looking at what we've done before. This is not working. This is not going to fly when it comes to this stage, which is why I think New Zealand will have a better sort of psyche coming into this game because they will have had those tough conversations that needs to be had with them.
Talk to me about the Boks, Schalla. Young Bok team, they'll be hungry as anything to get going and get stuck into a bit of wallaby. Might not be the same result, but what are you expecting from the Boks this weekend?
What I do hope is with most of getting fresh eyes, fresh legs, fresh people, desperate people on the pitch is sometimes they try too hard. I've seen a lot when players come under pressure. They want to perform. They want to perform with the squad for the coach, and they make errors because they're just trying too hard. That group is phenomenal as is. They should just play their game, and things will happen. Don't try to make things happen. In my personal career, the worst I've played is trying to prove someone wrong. Just play what the talent you got given, the hard work you've put in. Don't try to be anything but yourself and just go out and enjoy it. And I do hope that is the case this weekend because the talent is there. The experience isn't. But I do hope that they start well. If they start well, that might have a very, very great impact on that mentality, and they'll take it forward and impress us all.
Bobes, the Boks in Perth, your thoughts?
I just think that the Springboks, you have to stick to your roles. Make sure that you are as clinical as possible. Understanding players that get picked to play international rugby are the ones that make these errors, meaning that you can interpret the information that is being given to you from the coaches, and then you put yourself in that picture, meaning that your talent now becomes what makes you the difference when it gets to that position. Schalla used to step as a hooker. That made you the difference. But then what you did was you stuck to the process and the game plan so that you can give yourself that opportunity to showcase who Schalk is, right? That's what this young side has got an opportunity to do. I think this team is going to surprise people. I think this team might even play with much more cohesion than we think. What they did in Bloemfontein that week and that build-up, I saw the leadership that Lukanya showed when he was helping out Salaman Murat. I saw how everyone was really getting together, trying to put the pressure to that starting lineup side that played last week. I think that is what's going to keep this team and give this team a better performance than we expect.
Guys, we're going to put a pin in it for the second episode of The Good and the Bad, The Rugby South Africa. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, have a conversation, have your say, get in the comments, get stuck into Schalla, who is alienating his friends every episode. Next week, we'll be back with picking our locks and more to unpack with the Boks in the Rugby Championship, as well as the All Blacks bouncing back at Eden Park. It's been an absolute joy. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back next week. Cheers.
Sorry, John Smith.